Niue Police and Justice Department are working to resolve a breach of court orders. A defendant was sentenced 2 years and 1 month imprisonment but only served part of his sentence before counsel applied for his release. On the 19th of March, Judge Isaac issued a court order with set conditions from 25th of March 2013 to 5th of April 2014. The order stipulated that the defendant perform labour on public works anywhere for 3 days a week under the control and direction of an officer nominated by the Chief of Police. During the whole of this period, the defendant lived with the appointed guardian in Alufi North, and the defendant's passport be held by Niue Police until 5th April 2014. The Police Department and Justice are now aware that the defendant has been residing elsewhere, which is in breach of the court order. However, an application from the Defence Counsel has been lodged with Justice for changes to the court order. Niue Police have responded in objection to the application for changes, and a final decision is pending response from the judge. Niue's agenda for the Pacific Island Leaders Forum meeting in the Marshall Islands this year will continue to support part of last year's submissions to the Leaders Forum in the Cook Islands. Honourable Tauketalangi said the agenda on the fishing sector and youth employment will also be discussed. However, there are areas regarding the region's development that needs addressing and should be high on the agenda.
Some of the organisations that we talked about, the last time with fishing, for example, they haven't been as proactive as I'd like them to be. They haven't been as commercially orientated as I'd like them to be. So I'll raise it again at the next forum. The youth employment is something that I think we all need to focus our attention on. You know, it's a surprising thing, but we never ever think about these things ourselves. I've been talking to some people here, and we've got almost 100% employment here on the island. It demonstrates the fact that we've been extremely lucky. What we need to do is sustain that, of course, and also provide for school leavers as they leave the school systems and come out looking for jobs. So our objectives at the present moment is to create and continue to create job opportunities for those people, including school leavers. And the other important thing for us, of course, is to sustain the employment status that we have on the island. And that's one of the key planks that we're working on. For the other Pacific Island countries like Samoa, Tonga, Fiji, or the others, they do have major problems with youth and youth employment, including New Zealand and Australia. So I think it's something that we really should be looking at, the economic models that we have for the countries that we have, and determine whether what has been traditionally done is the way to go, or whether we should be looking at new models that we're certainly looking at that at the present moment ourselves.
The focus, says Honourable Talangi, is to ensure development in the Pacific is sustainable and resources maximised for all countries. The Pacific Island Leaders Forum is scheduled to take place in Majuro, Marshall Islands from the 3rd to the 6th of September this year. Niue Youth Centre will focus on using its newly renovated premises for accommodation to generate revenue for its activities, says Honourable Premier Tauketalangi. The initiative has been welcomed by the Youth Council, whose building sat dormant for a few years, used sparsely for youth meetings. Premises for the youth has previously been used as a temporary hospital after Lord Liverpool Hospital got destroyed by Cyclone Heta in 2004. It also catered as an evacuation centre for the hospital during pandemic alerts, as well as rental for overseas groups to the island. Representative from the Niue Youth Council said the renovations is expected to complete in September this year. Hackable Village has reached another milestone as they launch a number of sub-projects that are product of plans set out through Community Centre's Sustainable Development Program. The CCSDP project began in 2009 with 2 pilot site villages, Tuapa and Hakupu. Both villages have taken their own approach incorporating the CCSDP concept into village developments. The Village Council provided a brief background on a number of projects and equipment received over the past few years that have included completion of ecotourism projects and purchasing a tractor for the village. This year's allocation of $20,000 was distributed amongst the various groups within the village, targeting priority areas set out in the Hackable Village Development and Action Plan 2009-2020. One of the key developments acknowledged the value of traditional knowledge and documenting village life stories, all part and parcel of Priority 2 and 3, focus on history and traditional knowledge.
I'm very excited about this project because I feel that it is the beginning of telling our story of who we are. I think it's very, very important for people to tell where they come from, who they are, and where they belong. Their identity is very, very important, and I think this will give them strength. This will encourage them to like Niue, like their villages, and feel that they do belong to the place. And it's a very important exercise in building a nation. The key person who worked on this project is Peter Soni Tanaki. He is the person behind it all, who started it all. And we had a few meetings to go through what he has written and encourage him to get on with the book. And also we had Rosie Misiepo, who is also the pillar behind this project. And there were a number of other people who worked on it. And as I said, it's a beginning of a big job.
Youth Representative Natasha Toyona Tohawaka noted that youth are a vital part of community development as reflected in Priority 5 of the Hackable Village Development and Action Plan. Village youth decided to focus efforts towards developing their fitness centre facilities that will also be open to groups within the village. For the Hackable ICD group, as part of Priority 4 for infrastructure development, the group plans to install VHF radios to improve communications, purchase projector, screen, laptop and photocopier for community use during trainings. The theme is connecting the disconnected, not disconnecting the connected. As for the Hackable Men's Council, they receive funds for the construction of chicken pens as part of food security, and women's group purchase equipment for storage and production of food as a group. Hackable Village Council are appreciative of the collective efforts put in by the village to ensure that everyone benefits from the CCSDP project, and this has been achieved as reflected in the blessings and launching held at Tuasau. Development within villages and communities will hopefully ensure that Niue as a nation will also be strengthened. To India News Bulletin for tonight, Rugby Sevens competition for 2013 has concluded, with focus now set on the 15th competition. Niue Rugby Union representative Gregory Harding said last week's conclusion of the Sevens tournament saw a great improvement in the game. However, the issues that is noticeable are players who challenge the referees during games. He said team captains are the only players who should approach the referees if there are disputes on the field of the day. Overall, he said the efforts by the teams were great. The Sevens tournament saw Tuapa triumph the competition, receiving $700 in first prize. Second to Southern Marlins, who reclaimed $550. Third to Waiawa with $400. Alufi Mako came in fourth place, receiving $250. And last team, Hakupu, received $100 for their efforts. The 15th tournament that is confirmed to start on the 17th of August already has 3 teams shown interest. The attention now for the Sevens competition is the Oceania Cup in Fiji. The tournament in Fiji will qualify teams to the Hong Kong leg of the IRB circuit. 11 teams, including top competing teams from the Pacific, South America and Africa are expected to join the competition. And other rugby developments, reports from the minigames is that Niue Rugby Union has been charged $1,000 for their expected non-attendance at the games in Wallace and Fortuna in September. We'll bring you more on this story in our future news bulletin. And that's our news bulletin for tonight. Also an extended invitation from the Village Council of Tamarotanga and the people of Tungulu to everyone to their annual show day on Saturday. Good evening.